Hi, I'm Amanda J., Director of Via Nova Training. Via Nova means new road in Latin. With the help of Vinnie, the Via Nova school pony, who's peeking out from behind our logo there, I'm going to talk to you today about how you can use real positive reinforcement in a practical way when you're riding, handling, and training horses, and why it's worth learning how. You all know Vinny. He's that pony, the one with a reputation. He's evil, he bites, and he won't break a trot no matter how hard you kick. At Villanova, our goal is to introduce positive reinforcement to ponies like Vinny and to horses everywhere. To do that, we want to bring positive reinforcement, or R plus for short, training methods into the traditional horse world in a way they can be understood, accepted, and actually widely adopted. That's the mission. In order to do that, we've developed an approach we call Priority to Positive, or PtP for short. It's designed to help any equestrian understand how positive reinforcement actually works and to learn ways to apply it safely and well with horses and riding. The horse world uses time honed methods, apprenticing and learning from experienced riders and trainers, as those traditional trainers practiced and apprenticed before them. Truly, people have been riding and handling horses for millennia. The latest research suggests horses were domesticated at least 5,000 years ago, and that riding and driving was already common by about 4,000 years ago. Horses and humans have done amazing things together. But just like smartphones have changed the way we communicate and live, some kinds of change really can make a worthwhile difference in how we humans have been doing things. Can we take on the challenge of learning a new approach in order to do a bit better by Vinny, who has done so much for us? At Villanova, we know that positive reinforcement is a powerful means of motivating and communicating with any animal, or human for that matter. We believe that R plus methods produce better results and clearer communication for traditional equestrians with their horses. We've seen it happen over and over. We work to develop the positive principles, tools, and skills that equestrians can use to improve performance, motivation, communication, and welfare for their horses. How do we take our traditional background and combine it with our desire to use positive reinforcement with horses? It's a big ask. Keeping up with the endless updates and versions of smartphones can be quite a challenge, too. But we do it because smartphones have proved to be so useful to us. We want to make positive reinforcement training user-friendly, so we developed the core principles of priority to positive to guide equestrians, young and old, in this process of adopting a new technology in the horse world. If you go online and look up positive reinforcement training for horses, you will find clicker training. Clicker training for dogs, clicker training for horses, clicker training for birds, cats, snakes, rats, and even fish. Clicker training has become a shorthand term for training animals using positive reinforcement. So sometimes people mistakenly think a clicker itself is what the training is all about. Sometimes we do use a clicker as a tool, but a clicker can be inconvenient and, in many cases, not even allowed when riding and handling horses. So, Vinny is going to help me show you how we use other means to accomplish the same things a clicker is used for. Our priority to positive core principles are intended to help bridge the techniques of positive reinforcement with the traditional world. They can help you understand the purpose of the skill sets and methods we use in training with positive reinforcement. We can't teach you about how to use all of the tools and skills of positive reinforcement in one video. That would be like trying to teach you the entire Pony Club manual all at once. What we'll do today is show you how we begin using the first three principles and give you an idea of where it's all heading and how it works with horses. Understanding the horse's motivation is a core principle of training with positive reinforcement. It also brings us to the first dip of our toes into behavioral science. We're often asking ourselves, why, oh, why does my horse keep acting this way? It can seem like they're just trying to be ill mannered or pushy or even dangerous. But it's actually pretty straightforward. All learned behavior serves a purpose. A horse is either avoiding something they don't want or getting something they want. We may typically think of motivation as having the drive or desire for something, but there's also a no side to motivation. Behavior can also be about avoiding a threat or something we don't like. For instance, through past experience, Vinny found that if he jumped the fence, it gave him a scary, unbalanced feeling, as if he might not make it over or even fall down. Plus, if he hit the rail, he got an unpleasant feeling in his forefeet. So he made a simple change to his behavior. Now he successfully avoids those unpleasant feelings by stopping before he jumps the fence. On the other side of motivation is that desire for something. Again, through past experience, Vinny has learned that he has to lie down and do contortions to be successful at getting what he wants. The grass on the other side of the fence. So he does it, even though it's hard, because it's worth it to him. Every horse's motto is, if it works for me, repeat it. The success of a behavior is what creates the motivation to do that behavior again. If your horse is routinely behaving in a certain way, they've learned from previous results that it works. At least from their point of view, which is the only one that counts when it comes to what they choose to do. That's what behavioral science calls reinforcement. Whenever a behavior is being repeated, whether we think that behavior is good or bad, something is reinforcing it. The horse has learned that a particular behavior works and is motivated to do it again. Reinforcement comes in two basic flavors. Yum, I'll seek it, or yuck, I'll avoid it. The type of reinforcement we'll be using in priority to positive is yum, I'll seek it. This means we have to give a true reward for a behavior, a reward from the horse's point of view, not just ours. But why care about Vinny's underlying motivation when you just want him to jump reliably? Well, here's the beauty of understanding our horse's motivation. By understanding it, we can take control of it in an effective way. Once you understand your horse's motivation, how do you change it? You'll use priority to positive principle 2. Look for your yes. You reward the behavior you want. This is our greatest asset to influence motivation, and it requires a fresh mindset for many equestrians. In the past, we haven't had a clear way to communicate yes, so we're in the habit of focusing on the no. But once you have a systematic way to tell your horse, yes, that's what you should do, you'll flip your mindset. To look for the yes, we have to first overcome the way our brains are wired to look for danger and what's wrong with situations. We share this trait with Vinny, by the way. It's a lot better to be wrong about thinking there is a tiger behind the bush than to be wrong in thinking that there isn't one. Equestrians, in our world where it's not that hard to get hurt, can be extremely prone to looking out for what's wrong. And this is not a bad idea, but this does make it harder for us to see the possibilities that are always present. Picture a horse and rider at a mounting block. This video was taken at a major hunter-jumper show. The horse is a very talented and successful competitive show jumper. If you were describing this video to someone, what would you say is happening? Most people would say, well, every time the rider tries to mount, the horse shifts away, just out of range. That's what the rider doesn't want. But think about this. What would the rider prefer that horse to be doing? Keeping all 4 feet still while being mounted. That is the yes. Getting to that point where this horse understands that his reward will come when he stands with all 4 feet still is going to be the positive reinforcement training process. And we have many techniques and skills to communicate this to the horse. Here, this horse learned that when his rider pointed to a target and he touched it, keeping his feet still while she mounted, he would get a reward. But before you can start to train it using positive reinforcement, you, the trainer, will have to know what behavior you will say yes to. So get in the habit of reframing what you don't want to see with what you do want to see. I don't want my horse moving away when I mount flips to I do want my horse to keep all 4 feet still while I mount. This means you don't punish him for moving. Instead, you reward him for standing still. The huge reward for us is that by consistently utilizing R plus to teach physical behaviors, we change the horse's outlook on life. Just like when you have a boss or teacher who focuses on helping you find the right answer instead of punishing you for the wrong one, a trainer who focuses on finding and rewarding the yes will create a more curious, confident, and trusting horse that wants to work. So, we'll reward behavior that we want to see more of. But there is one catch. You can't reinforce behavior that isn't occurring. What if you know your yes, but it's not anywhere close to happening? We can't just tell them what the right behavior is in words. We need to create an opportunity for the horse to do the right thing so that we can reward it. Let's be honest. We all have body language we use to tell a horse when they're doing something we don't like. Our don't is usually very clear and precise. It comes right as the naughty behavior happens because we don't want it to happen again. When we say yes to a behavior, we do want it to happen again. We want our horse to trot when we give the trot aid, so we might say good boy and give them a pat as a reward when they respond correctly. But is that really enough for the horse to recognize as a reward, or even to understand what earned it? As long as we're being honest, let's interview Vinnie on what he considers a reward for his efforts. We're here today with Vinnie the Villanova pony to ask him for his input on a question of serious interest to horses worldwide. Vinnie, if you just did something good, would you rather get a pat on the neck or a carrot for it?
Is that a serious question?
Any further comments, Vinnie?
Yeah, where's the carrot?
When you saw Vinnie earlier, flying over a fence heading for an apple on the other side, perhaps you thought, come on, no horse is going to be lured over a fence for that. And it's true, the way we use positive reinforcement with horses isn't quite that simple. You won't have someone standing there holding out an apple in the middle of a jump course. But consider that a horse can, and more than one has, jumped out of a fence to get to the grass on the other side. They don't do that just to get a pat on the neck. Food is a powerful driver of behavior. As grazers, horses are hungry nearly all the time, so food is a big motivator, and they will work for it. We've been missing a clear and precise way to tell our horse, yes, that's right, so that they not only understand clearly that what they did was right, but they will willingly offer to do it again. Using food as a reinforcer gives us a very clear and direct way to say yes. You may be thinking of some objections to the idea of using food as a reinforcer. Vinnie already bites, treats will make it worse. Or one of the more insidious ones. Other people will make fun of me if they see me giving Vinnie treats for doing what I asked him. All important concerns. Important to humans, anyway. As for Vinnie don't care. Vinnie just wants what he wants. And he doesn't want what he doesn't want, and acts accordingly. How can we convince Vinnie it'll be worth his while to do what we want him to do? We'll turn what we want into an opportunity for Vinnie to earn something he wants. He wants it so much, he'll work hard for it. But first, he needs to know what he has to do. Without words, how are we going to communicate that to him? Our most important priority to positive tool, and the first thing we'll teach Vinnie, is our marker signal. A marker signal is one of those aspects about training with positive reinforcement that can make it seem like magic. When you watch a marine mammal show, the whales and dolphins are leaping through hoops, tossing balls, and slapping their flippers. Meanwhile, in the background, the humans are blowing whistles like mad. Now and then, the animals rush to the side of the pool to be tossed some fish. That's what it looks like from the outside, anyway. The whistles may seem random to the audience, but they have a very specific meaning to the animals. They're marking what behavior, jump, slap, or tossing the ball, earned a fish at the exact moment the animal does it. A marker communicates instant information to the animal, even at a distance, about whether the behavior they are doing earned them what they want. Believe it or not, horses are just as smart as killer whales when it comes to learning what a marker means. We can teach our horses to recognize our chosen marker to mean, yes, you just did the right thing to earn a reward. This marker can be anything the horse can perceive, and you can produce consistently. A unique sound, a certain touch, or even a flashlight coming on. You can choose what to use as a marker as long as you teach it correctly. With correct and consistent conditioning, you can even use different markers in different contexts, such as a clicker at home and a touch on the withers at a competition. The steps for teaching, or what's more formally called conditioning, a marker, are simple. At the end of this talk, we'll give you links to more information on how to do it. For most horses, this isn't a long process. If you do it correctly, in several short 3 to 5 minute sessions a day, they learn quickly, in a few days to a week. And once they learn a marker, they don't forget it because it predicts food coming. Some horses get really enthusiastic about this process at the beginning, although we'll soon help them learn how to be mannerly around food. But in the beginning, it's wise to do this conditioning in protected contact, such as over a stall door or fence, so the horse can't mug you. A voice marker that's convenient for many riders to use is a short, distinct syllable, such as the letter T. That's what we'll use for a marker today to illustrate how we can teach a horse to have good manners around food. Tinkerbell is a typical horse, very motivated by food. She mugs her owner a lot. Watch while we use a voice marker T to teach Tinkerbell to keep her head away and stand politely to wait for a small piece of carrot or apple.
Do anything to it's yeah. And it's okay when she stops nudging you. You can say T and feed her, but feed her where you want her.
She's looking for Heidi, I think. I don't know.
T.
T.
The little gears are turning.
T. 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 Good girl. T. T. T.
We can call this horsey zen. Leave the food to get the food. As I mentioned, you can start in protected contact with more impulsive or aggressive horses. As they become more certain about what works, they will relax and begin to wait quietly, at which point you can start work directly in their space with them. Notice that this learning is all about opportunity for Tinkerbell. We don't punish or correct her when she's wrong. Instead, we use the marker to help her learn what earns her the reward, while she works herself to figure it out. Traditional equestrian aids and tools use pressure to encourage a behavior like trotting to happen, which isn't wrong. It works, at least with all the other ponies, except Vinnie. Back in the day, when Vinnie was a young spring pony, he used to trot when his trainer squeezed their legs lightly. That's because he'd learned that trotting was a successful way to get the squeezing to stop. But out in the big world, he found out that when he trotted, a lot of riders didn't stop squeezing their legs. They just kept squeezing. So clearly, trotting didn't work to get them to stop. But it was unpleasant, so he wanted to find a way to get the squeezing to stop. Trotting wasn't working, so he slowed down in hopes of avoiding the squeeze. But they began kicking him. Vinnie tried several things to get the kicking to stop. He'd halt by the arena door in case he might be able to leave, and that made the kicking worse. He tried bucking, and that got him hit with a whip, and that made him mad. So he bucked harder, and his rider fell off. The kicking and squeezing had stopped, so Vinny learned that bucking was a good option to avoid what he didn't like. He tried it more often, but then he had riders that he couldn't buck off, and they really hit him hard and kept on kicking him. He got unpleasantly kicked and squeezed whether he trotted or whether he didn't. He wanted to avoid being kicked, but he just couldn't figure out how, so he learned to save his energy. He just stood there, dreaming of grass to take his mind off being squeezed and kicked. But lucky for Vinny, it's a new day. He's got a new rider who's using priority to positive. In the same process you just saw with Tinkerbell, they've already taught him with a marker to stand politely instead of mugging for food, even when the food is right there close and he'd normally just grab for it. Can we communicate with Vinny that trotting on a light aid is an opportunity for reward in a similar way? With priority to positive, another useful tool we use are targets. See that thing this horse is touching with his nose? We teach our horses to follow and go to different types of targets, which set them up to do the movements we want so that we can reward them. In order to convince Vinny that trotting under saddle is an opportunity for a reward, we can use a target to create upward and downward transitions at liberty until he eagerly responds to new walk, trot, canter, and halt cues. Using our PtP tools, we can do this without any kicking, bumping, pulling, squeezing, or a whip. We only have time today to give you a general overview of how we go about this. It's a training process. But we can first use our marker to teach Vinny that just touching a target gets a reward by marking him as he touches it, and then giving him a treat. He'll soon start touching the target when it's offered to him, like this horse, seeking it out and even following it as it moves. For a sour pony like Vinny, we might well do this first at liberty with new cues, so Vinny doesn't associate it with the old, unpleasant circumstances of getting squeezed and kicked. Like this horse, pretty soon Vinny will learn to hope someone gives him a cue to trot to the target, so he can do it and earn a reward. Yay! He got the trot cue. This is his moment. Trotting. He's trotting. The marker T, when he touches the target, means success. And he gets his reward. Once Vinny is looking forward to the opportunity to trot, we can go back under saddle and teach him that trotting will earn him a reward there too. In this phase, the rider is just sitting there quietly, not aiding or using their legs. When he hears the cues he learned at liberty and responds correctly by trotting, the marker signal again tells him that he earned a reward. Then, we can carefully transfer back to the original light leg aid, marking and rewarding his trot. Does this mean we have to use a target and treats forever to get a trot? Heck no, this is a process. Our Villanova horses go into competition all the time, and we don't use a target or stop to feed them in the middle of it. As the horse learns to offer the behavior on cue because it's an opportunity, we can and should fade the target away until our cue alone triggers the behavior we want. The difference is, now Vinny trots on cue because he's learned it's worth it to him. His motivation has changed from avoidance of kicking to seeking. Through this process, trotting on cue becomes second nature to Vinny, in a good way. As he associates the trot aid with a reward, both the aid and the trot come to feel rewarding in themselves. No, we won't always reward with a treat, or just quit rewarding a trot with food altogether. If we did that, our trot aid would slowly lose value as a possible opportunity for Vinny. But we'll reward at longer and more random intervals, and for really good responses. We'll surprise him. He'll try hard because he knows it's always possible to get rewarded. There are many creative ways, both on the ground and under saddle, that you can trigger and reward the behavior you want through desire on the horse's part, instead of pressure and kicking from you. The more you learn about these tools and skills, particularly how to create the behaviors most equestrians want from their horses, the larger your priority to positive training repertoire becomes. We can also use positive reinforcement for behaviors like trailer loading, lining up for mounting, going forward, slowing down, halting under saddle, free jumping, holding still for vet procedures, and much more. We've only had time to dip our toes into priority to positive in this video. We'd love to tell you more about how to go about using our positive reinforcement tools and skills, and the science that underlies them. You can use the QR code to find videos that will show you more about how to condition a marker and teach food manners. And be sure to subscribe to our Villanova Training YouTube channel to keep up with our latest educational content. The more you understand about how horses learn and why they behave as they do, the better you can make life for you and your horse. We love questions. Submit a question about positive reinforcement training for horses to Vinnie himself at vinnie@villanovatraining.com. We're very glad you've joined us. Good luck with your training, and don't forget to give your own Vinnie a carrot. Voiceover narration performed by Christy Fabry, 2024. Copyright Villanova Training, LLC.